Share free GCP Associate Cloud Engineer exam dumps for your preparation. 1. Your company uses cloud storage to store application backup files for disaster recovery purposes. You want to follow Google's recommended practices. Which storage option should you use? A. Multi-regional storage. B. Regional storage. C. Nearline storage. D. Coldline storage. Answer: D. 2. You have been asked to set up the billing configuration for a new Google Cloud customer. Your customer wants to group resources that share common IAM policies. What should you do? A. Use labels to group resources that share common IAM policies. B. Use folders to group resources that share common IAM policies. C. Set up a proper billing account structure to group IAM policies. D. Set up a proper project naming structure to group IAM policies. Answer: B. 3. You have created a new project in Google Cloud through the gcloud command line interface, CLI, and linked a billing account. You need to create a new compute engine instance using the CLI. You need to perform the prerequisite steps. What should you do? A. Create a cloud monitoring workspace. B. Create a VPC network in the project. C. Enable the Compute GoogleApps.com API. D. Grant yourself the IAM role of computer admin. Answer: C. 4. You create a new Google Kubernetes engine, GKE, cluster and want to make sure that it always runs a supported and stable version of Kubernetes. What should you do? A. Enable the Node Auto Repair feature for your GKE cluster. B. Enable the Node Auto Upgrades feature for your GKE cluster. C. Select the latest available cluster version for your GKE cluster. D. Select Container Optimized OS, COS, as a node image for your GKE cluster. Answer: B. 5. You have deployed multiple Linux instances on Compute Engine. You plan on adding more instances in the coming weeks. You want to be able to access all of these instances through your SSH client over the Internet without having to configure specific access on the existing and new instances. You do not want the Compute Engine instances to have a public IP. What should you do? A. Configure Cloud Identity Aware Proxy or HTTPS resources. B. Configure Cloud Identity Aware Proxy for SSH and TCP resources. C. Create an SSH key pair and store the public key as a project-wide SSH key. D. Create an SSH key pair and store the private key as a project-wide SSH key. Answer: B. 6. You have an application that runs on Compute Engine VM instances in a custom virtual private cloud, VPC. Your company's security policies only allow the use to internal IP addresses on VM instances and do not let VM instances connect to the Internet. You need to ensure that the application can access a file hosted in a cloud storage bucket within your project. What should you do? A. Enable private service access on the cloud storage bucket. B. Add storage.googleapps.com to the list of restricted services in a VPC service controls perimeter and add your project to the list to protected projects. C. Enable private Google access on the subnet within the custom VPC. D. Deploy a Cloud NAT instance and route the traffic to the dedicated IP address of the cloud storage bucket. Answer: C. 7. You are assisting a new Google Cloud user who just installed the Google Cloud SDK on their VM. The server needs access to cloud storage. The user wants your help to create a new storage bucket. You need to make this change in multiple environments. What should you do? A. Use a deployment manager script to automate creating storage buckets in an appropriate region. B. Use a local SSD to improve performance of the VM for the targeted workload. C. Use the GSUTE command to create a storage bucket in the same region as the VM. D. Use a persistent disk SSD in the same zone as the VM to improve performance of the VM. Answer: A. 8. You have an instance group that you want to load balance. You want the load balancer to terminate the client SSL session. The instance group is used to serve a public web application over HTTPS. You want to follow Google recommended practices. What should you do? A. Configure an HTTPS load balancer. B. Configure an internal TCP load balancer. C. Configure an external SSL proxy load balancer. D. Configure an external TCP proxy load balancer. Answer: A. 9. You need to track and verify modifications to a set of Google Compute Engine instances in your Google Cloud project. In particular, you want to verify OS system patching events on your virtual machines, VMs. What should you do? A. Review the Compute Engine activity logs. Select and review the admin event logs. B. Review the Compute Engine activity logs. Select and review the system event logs. C. Install the Cloud Logging Agent in Cloud Logging. Review the Compute Engine syslog logs. D. Install the Cloud Logging Agent in Cloud Logging. Review the Compute Engine operation logs. Answer: A. 10. Your company has workloads running on Compute Engine and on-premises. The Google Cloud Virtual Private Cloud, VPC, is connected to your WAN over a Virtual Private Network, VPN. You need to deploy a new Compute Engine instance and ensure that no public Internet traffic can be routed to it. What should you do? A. Create the instance without a public IP address. B. Create the instance with private Google access enabled. C. Create a deny all egress firewall rule on the VPC network. D. Create a route on the VPC to route all traffic to the instance over the VPN tunnel. Answer: A.